Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a crime film from the United States, English language, released in the year 2017, directed by Lynn Ramsey, and this film is called You Were Never Really Here. So You Never Really Here is about this man. He is a very troubled man. He used to be part of the FBI, but for traumatic reasons, he's basically left, and he's really trying to fight within himself. And so all these problems basically have forced him to actually make a name for himself. Basically, he's a very brutal man, and he is muscle for hire. If someone needs rescuing, as for example someone's kidnapped, he'll go out and he'll get them, and he has these very brutal methods that has given him this reputation. And so this senator actually gets the services of this man and says that his daughter is missing, and he believes that she's part of a sex trafficking organisation, and so this man is tasked with getting her. But when he actually tries to get her, he realises that there is a web of corruption around, and that a lot of people are actually come into the picture that makes matters very complicated and also very dangerous. And so whether or not this man can not only rescue this girl but rescue himself is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on You Were Never Really Here. The main reason why I wanted to see this film is that the trailer looked very good, but it was mainly Joaquin Phoenix. Now I'm a massive fan of this guy. I believe that he is a very good actor, as a lot of you will agree, and this is a different kind of role that I've seen Joaquin Phoenix playing. He's not often playing someone as brutal and as dark as this character, but this character is not a villain. This character is someone who is using brutal methods and brutal tactics, but he is torn up by the person that he has experienced in the past. And so I just thought that this movie was absolutely fantastic based on that one performance. If I've ever seen a movie that keeps floating because of someone's performance, it's definitely this film. Joaquin Phoenix delivers an absolute masterclass in acting, in portraying this very, very sympathetic soul. You see scenes with his mother, you know that he's a very caring and loving man, but he has that brutal side of him, and the brutal side has been dictated from the trauma that he's suffered in the past. So there's a lot of sympathetic qualities, and as the movie goes along, the brutality that he is causing, I believe that it was a way that he could combat the demons that were inside his mind. And so I really like that aspect that Lynn Ramsey goes in. It's not so much a thriller, it's more a case of a character study of a man who's deeply traumatized, who's trying to make a better life for himself, but the corruption and the brutality that his life leads him to is basically making matters worse. And so it's like a train wreck, and I thought it was an incredibly riveting train wreck, and it was just something that I really appreciated. And it's just a fine example of absolutely fantastic acting that really makes the film work. And what I liked about You Will Never Really Hear also was the fact that it doesn't give you exposition. We know that this is a troubled guy through flashbacks, but it doesn't dictate everything that's happened. So it's a very realistic portrayal. It's basically a day in the life of this man, and that he doesn't need to explain things as to why he's traumatized, because he's not telling someone. He's suffering it himself. And so we feel like, all right, well, there is a lot of curiosity and mystery, and those questions, it doesn't really raise too many questions, because you know that, okay, basically the movie is about this man trying to save a girl, and ultimately that's what the film is about. But he has traumatic aspects to his life, and it gives you enough glimpses of his previous life to indicate why he is the way that he is. And that's all the film needs, just an indication as to why he's this brutal man, and giving you a slice of realism, basically saying that this is a guy that is not devoid of feelings. This is not like the Terminator. This is a real man who is basically trying to overcome his demons, but he can't really control that, so he's acting out in very brutal ways as kind of like a compensation for his frustration, and basically trying to get everything out there and deal with it, and how difficult that is. So it's a very grim film. It's a very, very brutal movie, but the violence doesn't play a driving force. It's basically the psychology behind this guy as he's trying to basically come to grips with everything. So it's a very powerful sort of emotional film, and it's a lot more dark than I actually thought it would be. I thought this was going to go down a typical thriller, sort of like a Taken, where this guy's out to save this girl, but it's definitely not about that. It's not only about saving a girl, but it's about saving himself. So I thought the supporting cast were very good, and as the movie goes along, there's a few plot twists that I thought, alright, well, that was very interesting, but they're not out of the blue. They're not there just for the sake of it, which is something I really liked. And so the fluency of the story is very well done, and it never really gets sidetracked with things that are unnecessary. As I said, it would have been unnecessary to give exposition behind this guy as to exactly what happened, but it gives you enough information to satisfy that curiosity. And so I actually really sympathise with this guy. It's something very hard to do. So you've got a character who's doing very brutal things. It's very hard to sympathise for him, but the way that Lynn Ramsey actually gives uses this character, I thought, all right, well, there is that strong sense of sympathy, and it's Joaquin Phoenix's brilliant performance and actually showing you a guy that you can sympathise and relate to, although he is in a world that most of us can't relate to. So I thought that was absolutely brilliant. There are some, I thought the ending was very good. It does leave on a bleak sort of note, which is something that I thought, yeah, the tone of the film is very consistent, as that was all very good. And so if you go into the film expecting a typical thriller, you might be a little bit disappointed, but this movie I just thought was an absolutely fantastic psychological character study of a deeply traumatized man who's in a very traumatic world, and basically it's a domino effect of negativity. And so if this sounds like your kind of thing, I would highly recommend you check out You Were Never Really Here. A brilliant performance by Joaquin Phoenix, teamed up with a very good performance from Lynn Ramsey as the director. The cinematography was excellent. It was a very grimy, very dirty sort of feel, so it's a very depressing atmosphere. So if that's not your kind of thing, then I would stay away. But if you want something that's a raw, gritty, powerful experience, then You Were Never Really Here will impress you. So overall for this film, going to give this one 4 stars. I really liked it. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.